What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Kind of Funny Gamescast.
Have the smoke.
The smoke is just for us. The wide shot, not on. So it's just for us in the room. Kevin, hit the smoke again. Let people know who we are. Thank you, Kevin. Welcome to Kind of Funny Games. I said Games Daily earlier, too. Kind of Funny Gamescast. It's you know, you do a show for like 7 years.
7 years.
Then you add in this Daily Games Cast. It's hard to do it. You know what I mean?
Get you twisted up.
You gotta do.
We're the second hour boys, though. We're back.
Second hour, boys.
Hour number 2. We're in.
Fresh, feeling vibrant, virile.
Right? Yeah, we let Roger come out here. We let Bless come out here. They warm up the crowd. We
Get
come.
that
They're the
stank.
opening act.
Just so you know that.
Kevin, hit it one more time. It's SGF. Let me smell some more.
Oh my God.
I'm gonna clear it out. I want to smell all this smoke.
You want to smell it?
Oh, that's SGF smoke.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're going
You know
to
what
be
I
in
mean?
it for a while.
Yeah.
Of course, this is your Kind of Funny Gamescast for Tuesday, June 11th, 2024. And there's really no time to waste, ladies and gentlemen. We have a dozen previews to talk to you about from Summer Game Fest. Of course, me, one of your hosts, Greg Miller, alongside the master of hype, Snowbike Mike.
What up, Greg? Thanks for having me.
Alongside the Hispanic heartthrob, Texas treat, Latino heat, clicking heads, ripping shreds, globetrotting, headshotting, three-point shooting, rootin' tootin', Nitro Rifle from Twitch.tv, Andy Cortez.
Good morning.
We went down to LA all weekend long. We played a bunch of games. We played so many games. We have so many embargoes still out there. We're not even remotely done doing this. This isn't even bringing in Tim, bringing in Blessing on what they saw. We have an actual dozen, not a baker's dozen as the chat's popping off right now. And we're going to get into them all because this is the Kind of Funny Gamescast. Each and every weekday, we run you through the nerdy reviews, previews, big topics of discussions.
Smoke. It's getting at you
Too much
now.
smoke. Kevin, we went too far. No. You need to know about, of course, if you like that, support us with that Kind of Funny membership. If you like all the previews, us going down, us being an independent operation of 11 people, all about live talk shows, we're asking for your support of $10. Of course, that would get you good karma, the ability to watch all of our shows ad-free, the ability to watch our afternoon podcasts live as we record them, and of course, your daily exclusive multimedia experience known as Greg Way. If you want to be a part of this very show that we're recording, YouTube Super Chats, as we talk about these games, ask us questions there about these. If you want to know general things about SGF, let us know. You already know Jeff Keighley and Mike are mortal enemies. That was covered on the Kind of Funny podcast today. It's not happening. He's not coming back.
Just be my friend.
Of course, some housekeeping. Like I said, the Kind of Funny podcast is up, all about Mike alienating Jeff Keighley and ruining any chance of being his friend. Of course, today, like I said, we are about live talk shows. That's what we do at Kind of Funny. So on YouTube and Twitch, you've already gotten the Dragon Age preview roundup and Spider-Man 2 DLC news on Kind of Funny Games Daily. Of course, it's on podcast services as well. After this, you, of course, will be getting an NVIDIA-sponsored stream where Andy and I are playing the Alan Wake 2 DLC, YouTube and Twitch. Very excited.
Fire that bad boy back up again. I'm like, ooh, he has a good looking video game.
Yeah? Yeah? Now, are you going to... I'm playing, I assume, right? 'Cause
You're playing.
scared.
I'm getting all the tech running for you.
Sure, you're going to be doing this like, you can close your eyes a lot, be weird, scared.
Yeah. Now, should you play it? No, you'll be on my account. You'll get me epic achievements, I guess.
Yeah, sure, whatever they do over there. Some cards.
God, it looks so pretty,
Some
though.
game
Holy
goods.
cow.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And of course, like I said, if you're a Kind of Funny member, you of course have Greg Way. Today's is all about what you want out of Kind of Funny games for the rest of the summer, but yesterday's was all about the logistics of planning SGF. So if you're still in that summer Game Fest mood, as so many of you were, because a lot of you clicked on the hey, Mike fucked up his relationship with Jeff Keighley thing already. So that's pretty good.
Well, give that a watch and a listen, please.
Special thank you for making our dreams come to our Patreon producers, Kieran Hovasapien, Carl Jacobs, Fargo Brady, Delaney Twining. Of course, today you can get us live later on YouTube, podcast services around the globe, all thanks to our sponsor, BetterHelp. We'll tell you about that later. For now, let's start with topic of the show. Tots. Like I said, 1 dozen previews today is the goal. That's a lot.
Goodness
We're going to have to move at a clip to get it all done. Otherwise, we're here forever, and we die here. We don't eat. It sucks. Andy,
Hey.
I think inarguably the biggest preview to talk about today is Dragon Age: The Veilguard. Of course, today at 8 o'clock, BioWare published a video, 20 minutes of the gameplay. You're seeing it right now if you're a YouTube watcher. You and I, Andy, did a reaction to this. This is up on youtube.com/kindoffunnygames. Us watching it. Me for the first time. You not for the first time, but kinda. You hadn't seen this version of the presentation. You had seen a different presentation 45 minutes behind closed doors.
Correct.
So, as the world is now abuzz with Dragon Age,
Buzzing.
Mike, I ask you, did you watch this presentation? Has it caught you? Are you interested? Where are you at with Dragon Age, the Veilguard?
I did watch this presentation early this morning, and it caught me off guard. I wasn't quite sure
Veilguard?
if I was going to dig.
Get over
Get
here,
them
bro.
together.
Shit,
The
man.
Veilguard.
Summer Games. Oh my God! No, he tried kissing.
You know, I think when we got that initial
I almost accepted it.
trailer over with Xbox, and a lot of people commented on the theme and kind of the presentation of a little more goofy fun and putting a band of bandits together instead of I think what we were coming hot off of, which was Dragon Age Inquisition, that tone kind of being a little more serious. It was, you know, about romancing sexy people
I better
and
be
being
fucking
more at
people in
war.
this. It's a BioWare game. I'm fucking in
Oh
this game.
yeah.
Better be. But I'll tell you what, this 20 minutes got me. I like the style. I like the presentation. I like what I saw here. And I loved the combat. I think the combat looked really, really flashy and awesome. And so this 20 minutes won me over more than I expected.
Andy, as we talked about on the thing, but to recap so you don't have to watch everything we ever put out, I never connected with Dragon Age before. Tried them all before, and it's just not my world. I'm not the fantasy RPG kind of guy, blah, 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 blah. This demo is so exactly what I want. What I said when we did it yesterday, right, is like, I think I said it as a joke, but I mean it. It gives me those vibes of Kingdom of Amalur Reckoning, which I loved so much, which was a fun, stylized RPG to get into and go quest in. And it seems like the combat is definitely that, but there's going to be that BioWare story layered on top, which gets me so excited as a Mass Effect fan. But Andy, you saw 45 minutes. Are we wrong?
No, you're not wrong at all. I've never walked into a presentation more worried.
Yeah.
After all the years of what I said on the what did I use on the little gameplay preview that we watched, the little reaction. Years of blank tumult. I used the word tumult.
It's a good use.
A lot of tumultion over there.
Okay.
A lot of years of just like, what is going on with this video game? Anthem was supposed to be the next big thing. It completely flopped. How is BioWare going to pivot? Oh, they're really going to put their eggs back into the single player basket, go back to what they really love and care about. I loved how Greg put it during our reactions to the Xbox conference when he said, there's a lot of people at BioWare that right now that grew up loving BioWare games and wanted to work and make a BioWare game.
Yeah.
And I walked in that presentation very, very worried and just scared because I love Dragon Age. I was always a bigger Mass Effect fan, but Dragon Age was always my fantasy RPG. That's why I never really got into the Elder Scrolls series because I was young, I was poor, and I didn't have a whole lot of time for gaming, so it was always the BioWare RPGs.
Yeah.
And I was blown away by this presentation. It was far and away my game of the show, and I saw a lot of cool shit at Summer Game
What a
Fest.
fucking year it was for Summer Game
And
Fest.
this was my game of the show. I think visually it was just immediately stunning. The coolest thing, though, I will say, was watching them go through the character creator. It was me sitting next to... It was a one-on-one little presentation. It was me with a bunch of like BioWare and EA people behind me, but sitting next to John Epler, who's the creative director, who worked on Inquisition. I forgot exactly what his role was on Inquisition, but he is now the creative director for Dragon Age, the Veilguard, and open up the character creator. First off, you start off kind of picking all your backstory, right? What sort of character are you going to be? Who is going to be? What role are you going to play? How are these cutscenes going to reference? Oh, well, it's similar to like when you play Mass Effect 1 for the first time, and he's like, Shepard, he comes from a whatever family. He's been through it all or whatever. Very, very similar vibes there.
Can I interject here?
Go ahead.
Because there is a question that I have the answer to, but I'm not sure if they showed you.
No.
Admiral Redbeard, of course, like you can, super chats, and says, do we know if choices from previous Dragon Age games will carry over?
Oh, wow.
Did they show you this?
No, but I saw Ash Paris tweeting about how you will get to create and edit your Inquisitor.
So IGN.com's Alex Stedman says you will be able to import choices, but it's a little bit different. Yes, you will be able to carry over your decisions from previous Dragon Age games into Veilguard. It just will work a little differently this time. In an interview with IGN, Dragon Age The Veilguard game director Corinne Bush says the ability to import your choices is, quote, fully integrated into the character creator this time around, end quote. What's more, Bush confirmed that you'll be able to customize your Inquisitor if you want to remake your protagonist from Dragon Age Inquisition. Quote, what's not lost on us is that it's been 10 years since existing players have played. They might not remember what they did in previous games. They might need that refresher, and we don't want new players to feel like they're missing out on those decisions. So in the character creator, I like to call it, last time on Dragon Age, you can go into your past adventures, and it actually, through tarot cards, tells you what the context was and what decision you want to make. When pressed further about if the previous characters would be woven into Veilguard, like Hawk, Bush says, quote, I won't say everybody, but yes, some of them. What it sounds like is that BioWare may be abandoning Dragon Age Keep, which would allow you to export your world state from previous Dragon Age games into Inquisition through your save files.
That's how I remember.
When asked,
you would log onto a website, Mike, and type in like what you did in Dragon Age Origins to then transfer to Inquisition.
Interesting.
When asked if the Veilguard would read saves from Dragon Age Origins, Dragon Age 2, or Dragon Age Inquisition, Bush confirmed that it wouldn't. Quote, the technology is so different, and we wanted to be in the client, she says.
All that makes sense.
Does it make you mad as a Dragon Age player?
No, not at all. I mean, I understand that technology is just sometimes limiting. Like that's kind of a wild ass to think that all of your save data from whatever consoles you were on. That's not surprising to me at all. I think enough time has gone by. Maybe if Inquisition came out 4 years ago on the same console cycle, I could totally understand that. But no,
as a new player, right? I think they're doing it really smart of the tarot cards in this, and make me feel like I have a hand in, even though I didn't play those games all the way through.
I think that's fantastic. But what I also just loved about the character creator was the amount of depth there. Like this is looking to be like one of the best character creators out there. Up there with Dragon's Dogma and Baldur's Gate. Like there's so many cool options and little menus and sliders. Like there's everything you could ever want. And one of the coolest thing that I really love is body shape editing as well.
I love the shape of your body.
Yeah, you're not picking from like either a couple pre-made things. There's a triangle up on the screen, and it's muscular up top, light skinny frame on the far right, thicker frame on the far left, and you move that slider according to however you want your character to look. And all of the armor is, of course, going to completely mold and change shape exactly to however you are dressed or whatever. I'm so stoked about that. But one of the first things they showed, and I got to assume that some of the people at BioWare have seen and heard all of the issues with Black Heron Gaming, and I'm sure they saw Blessing Show episode of Black Heron Gaming, and were like, we really, really wanted to nail this. So check out all these cool-ass hairstyles of all sorts of sizes and shapes. I'm so stoked to get into the character creator. One of the most important things, though, is that somebody that a lot of Inquisition fans will remember is that when you created your character, you had one of those, like, your character was in an odd sort of looking light. It was very green kind of filtered. Yeah. And the amount of times that you'd hop into the game and go, oh, fuck, I don't like the way that looks.
I remember this.
And that was like something that everybody remembers. So in this character creator, similar to in Dragon's Dogma 2, you will have 5 different lighting and, color kind of palettes that you...
Love it. See what it looks like in different spots.
Rotate the light, all of that sort of stuff. And I'm super, super jazzed about that. I think more importantly, like watching this game, I was like, I knew going into it that this was not going to be Dragon Age Inquisition, where Inquisition was, I feel, much more tactical than any of the BioWare games that I had played prior. And I'm not a PC gamer. I was not a PC gamer back then. So my BioWare lineage started with Mass Effect 1, right?
Yeah.
And so I wasn't used to all of the CRPG, Baldur's Gate stuff that had been done prior to that. But I know that in Inquisition, I was pausing the time all the time. I'd go control homie over here. You walk over there. Cassandra, shoot a bolt here. And it felt a lot more like you are taking control of this battlefield.
Yeah.
I knew that wasn't coming back, whether it was through certain rumors or whatever, but I remember seeing that one leak that, oh, it's like God of War. They're trying to make like their version of God of War combat. And when I had heard that leak, I was kind of bummed out. And then some video leaked of it as well. And I was like, I don't want God of War combat in my Dragon Age. Hopefully they can nail it. Hopefully it's good. I expected like over the shoulder 3D sort of melee combat focus type stuff. And then once we got in there and saw that the camera angle and the FOV and everything looks very, very similar to other Dragon Age games I've played.
Yeah.
And it's dealing more with sort of like Mass Effect's 2 approach to combat, where you can completely stop the combat at any moment and you can bring up all of your abilities and tell Varric to, hey, Varric, shoot that bolt thing that's going to shoot a bunch of poison, and then I'll shoot my attack after that.
Sure. This thing right
Harding,
here.
how about you do your ability right here on those guys? And then you can continue the combat and then see it all play out and then be a lot more tactical with it. And I am so stoked that that is still a pillar of this.
For sure.
I don't fully understand a lot of the worries that like, wow, they've just gone completely action RPG, because this is kind of what Dragon Age Origins reminds me of too. Like, I went back to, I was like, am I crazy? And I went back to like a Dragon Age Origins combat, and like, you're very much there, just like you're doing melee combat, and you are, telling your squad mates to do stuff as well. So I don't fully understand the issues there. I played Origins on Xbox. Like, it was a console game, and I wasn't, hitting all the skill bars up top to do my powers.
Sure.
It was, so I don't fully understand the issues there, but I hope that this is enough for you, because it's certainly enough for me. Like, I was so blown away by this presentation, the look of it, the tone of it. When I saw that Dragon Age has always had a very humorous tone to it. Like, but when that first trailer dropped, sure, it may have been too like MCU-ish for people of we're building the team. I got stoked just because I love building a team, Greg.
Love it.
I love getting the squad together. I love
Mass Effect 2. Let's go.
I love the Inception style. Let's go get Tom Hardy in this area, and he's going to be our guy or whatever. Like, all that stuff just really, really gets me super jazzed up. But like, if you play Dragon Age Inquisition or Dragon Age Origins, and I read box 2 a couple times, Greg. I didn't ever like fully play through 2.
Yeah.
But I go to the local red box and like rent it a couple times. Like, there's always good humor. There's always good writing, whether it's insanely, sad and, introspective, or you can get a little humorous and pick the sarcastic route with your responses. And I love being that protagonist in these games, I thought it just hit every mark that I needed it to hit.
Love that.
Game of the show.
Love
like,
that.
My God, I could not.
Wow.
When you talked about your JW Marriott sort of conversations with people, walking up to everybody and going, dude, Star Wars, bro. Star Wars.
Yeah.
I was like seeking out everybody I could and be like, you seen Dragon Age? Like, the amount of people that can watch this and respond to me like, oh, yeah, Andy walked up to everybody I could do Dragon Age. Holy shit, Dragon Age.
Yeah.
Blown away by this game. I'm so excited for it. And I have so much more hope and faith now that this is going to deliver and be really big. It looks so fucking impressive. Like, I know the 4K video looks great. Watching it in action, being played next to me when I played, or I wasn't playing, but it was creative director John Epler playing, and he was asking me what little dialogue decisions I wanted to make. Hey, should so-and-so go with you? Should Neve go with you? Or should Harding go with you? What do you want to choose? Unfortunately, I picked a couple of choices in the trailer, but the one thing that I got to watch was not the rogue gameplay where you are more of like a fast dasher. I saw the warrior gameplay with the sword and shield.
Yeah.
A lot of parrying, kicking enemies off of the map, because you ended up getting a power that's like a dive bomb kick,
Yeah, like a giant drop kick.
And so there would be these like shades kind of fighting you, and you could just kick them off the map, launch them off. It was so cool. I had such a great time watching it and walked out just beaming, man. I was so excited about this.
I'm so shocked to have watched that demo with you and be like, the trailer, I guess, too, but then this demo and be like, I can't wait. Like, I woke up, we reacted yesterday and embargoed it for this morning, but I woke up this morning like, damn, I wish I had this right now. Like, that's a good sign for any game you're talking about. Obviously, there's a lot of questions in the world right now, Andy, and a lot of them have been super chatted, just like you should to be part of the show. Onimus Prime super chats and says, Andy, call your shot now. Will Dragon Age the Veilguard be a contender? And will people at the end of the year be saying, quote, BioWare is back, all goodwill restored?
Based on what I saw from those 45 minutes, which was basically what you all saw without the skips in between. You know, like the trailer that they showed would pop up and be like, you keep on adventuring, and Solus is up there still doing like, you know, wild shit.
He's up there breakdancing.
I saw all the in-between parts. Yes, this is going to be a contender for me.
That's what I want to hear. And that's what I think too. Again, not having touched it but seen it just the same way you have. I'm like, this looks fucking
I want to build relationships with these Veilguard characters.
Yeah.
I want to know what sort of traumatic shit they've been through. I want to meet that one asshole that I hated first, and then eventually he warms up to me because
like, I fucking love this guy.
This guy's actually kind of sick. You know what I mean?
Yep, 100%.
Can't not freaking wait.
Coming off of that conversation, though, a contender. Sachin, 72767, super chat and says, is the bar too high post Baldur's Gate 3?
No, because I think this is just going for something completely different.
Yeah.
And I know that, I mean, it may be for other people. Like, I think I'm just a bit more of a realist when it comes to what is possible budgetary-wise and just game development-wise, that I know that Larian did everything and anything possible to make it the most complex decision conversation tree that you've ever experienced in a game.
Yep.
And I guess I just... It sounds like I'm letting BioWare off the hook, but it would go for any other developer. I'd kind of expect that from only Larian in that moment. Like, I don't, you know, when we talk about Larian working on that for 7 years or whatever, and I know this has been development for a long time, but it doesn't seem like they started it 7 years ago. It seems like it's been a lot of like restarts here and there. No, but again, when we talk about it, I think if they were going for, if they were targeting that sort of experience with a lot of these insanely deep conversation trees, I think that's the stuff that blows me away about Baldur's Gate 3 the most.
Yeah.
It's just your characters remembering what you mentioned to that one dude 40 hours ago in your gameplay. Like, I don't really expect a whole lot of games to do that just because that shit's really, really tough, and Larian pulled that off, and I don't really see a whole lot of other people trying to go for that.
Someone in the public chat said, I'm not sure I see the comparison here, right? What I want to do is answer that, comment on that, and bring in another question, because when we had done the reaction to the Xbox presentation, that's where it was, or was it SGF? Xbox. I mentioned in there that, like, wow, that trailer looks great, and I'm kind of starving, or maybe I was like thirsting for a new BioWare game. It's been so long. And the chat at that point popped off being, Greg, you had Baldur's Gate 3 last year. So then I want to bring it in the fact of, like, do I think that, you know, it's all changed, blah, 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 like, it's a problem that there? No, because this is the kind of RPG I want, where I could never do the CRPG nature of Baldur's Gate 3. I loved the story and all the permutations, and that was amazing. Seeing this gameplay makes me so excited. But Dova Beats super chats and says, Dragon Age 1 CRPG, Dragon Age 2 action RPG. Yeah, action RPG. I can barely speak for some reason. Inquisition, a perfect blend of the two. Veilguard, back to action RPG, and can't control your party members. Can't help but feel this combat as a step back.
Oh,
possible that you think that. I disagree. Like, it all depends on what you're wanting and expecting. But again, going back to the Dragon Age 1 CRPG stuff, I played that on Xbox. It didn't feel like a CRPG to me. Like, I was still playing it like a lot of different, you know, I'm controlling my dude, I'm hitting my button, they're swinging. It kind of looks like an MMO, and just because PC players had a hotbar at the bottom didn't make it feel like CRPG-ish to me.
This is so my shit that it's like, it's such a crazy one because, again, the fantasy stuff of like a Skyrim. I played, I forget, 50 hours of Skyrim or whatever, never finished it, never felt the need. Even Witcher, 50 hours or 35 hours or whatever it was, never felt the need to finish it. Like, this looks like a world I want to be in because of the BioWare relationships, because of what I'm seeing visually and how stunning this looks and how good it looks. And then the fact that combat looks awesome. That's the biggest thing. Where it's like to be in there, and because I'm definitely going to run this rogue class, to be in there, be tearing it up, like, fuck yeah, give me a whole bunch of that.
Just give me all the cool opportunities with super neat abilities and, like, you know, wild looking particle effects. Again, when we played Mass Effect 1, like, I keep on saying that this is like a blend of Mass Effect 2 and like fantasy Mass Effect 2, but I mean, replaying Mass Effect 1, it's super similar. You pause the gameplay, you tell Garrus to go use that ability, and hey, Rex, use this shotgun, whatever, you know, like, that's still strategy enough to me to feel like some of that DNA is still there.
Yeah, and for me, really quick, on the
Please.
combat, it is interesting, right? Because I liked Dragon Age Inquisition, where I could switch to different party members and essentially play as them, right? Because I felt like I'd make a character class and be like, oh, I didn't like that one. Well, thankfully I can jump over there. So you're telling me I can't jump in between different party
No,
members? Okay.
you
Okay.
can't. No.
Okay. All right.
I don't need it.
Yeah, I like the choice there. It's interesting just coming off of Inquisition, but that's so long ago. I did-
Coming off of it.
Yeah, I just appreciate that, like, oh man, I made an archer, and then 20 hours in, I was like, yeah, I'm thankful I can jump in between people. It'll be cool to see honing in on one person only. Okay.
Yeah, I guess I never really even switched to a whole lot of different characters anyway. That was never my
Playstyle.
I liked directing people to tell them what to do, and then I would go in and kind of. I had my dual. I was a rogue, pretty much like this, with the double daggers, doing the dash back and dash into combat and everything like that. I think this is like the perfect blend of all those things that I've been wanting. I'm just glad that it's back and it's not. You are only controlling your dude without any of the squad mate input. Like, I was really worried that it was just going to be over the shoulder, third person, God of War style combat based on those early leaks from a year and a half, 2 years ago now. I'm kind of blanking on when that was. I'm so glad that there's still that idea of I want my character to have this one big AoE attack so that I can combo that and couple that with another thing that I do, as opposed to just, I'm Kratos, but in Dragon Age running around close combat.
Can't wait for more on this. Again, you're not alone. Eurogamer's headline is Whisper It, but Dragon Age the Veilguard has me thinking the unthinkable. It looks like BioWare's back.
Yeah.
And then from whoever they were talking to at BioWare, because I have not done my required reading on the entire article, the quote is, quote, lesson was, get back to what you do well.
Final one. Any multiplayer? I'm one of the small few that liked Mass Effect and Dragon Age multiplayer.
I enjoyed
when they had it.
I enjoyed the Dragon Age multiplayer.
Did they say
too.
anything?
No, there was no mentions of any of that.
Dang.
I think they really just want to focus on
That's definitely
getting
dead
this
and gone. Yeah,
right.
that's gone.
I got a question for you from the Super Chat. Admiral Redbeard has a comment, of course. I love when games changed the combat, especially when it's been so long. It feels fresh and new. But then the question is, Dragon Age Origins stream, Mike.
Ooh.
I had some people asking for that too, Mike,
Yeah?
and I was like, that sounds like the impossible to get Mike or Nick to sit down for a Dragon Age Origins. It's just like really dated,
But what if you tell Nick to dress like a wizard?
Maybe.
That would do it, right?
I always look at those as
He
like
loves spending
maybe
money.
it could be a fun like one-off where we just jump in for a day and celebrate Dragon Age, and leading up to the big new release of it. Maybe we could look back on the history and stuff. Yeah, it's tough, right? How could we all really sit there for a grand adventure like that? I don't know. We'll give you a maybe. We'll look into
That's
it.
a maybe,
That's
Admiral.
a maybe.
Yeah, but luckily, Admiral, you didn't say maybe to giving us some money, so maybe they'll go even further and give us that Kind of Funny membership. Of course, with the Kind of Funny membership, you support an 11-person small business all about live talk shows that entertain you every single weekday on Twitch, YouTube, and podcast services. With the membership, of course, you get good karma. You get the ability to watch all of our shows ad-free, and, of course, you get the podcast in the afternoon if there is one. You get the daily multimedia experience known as Greg Way. But right now, you're not using your membership benefits, so here's a word from our sponsor.
This episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. This year is going by so quickly, I'm literally getting married this month, so I know all about that. When life goes so fast, it's important to take a moment to celebrate your wins and make adjustments to the rest of your year. Therapy can help you take stock of your progress and set achievable goals for the next 6 months. Therapy helps you find your strengths so you can ditch the extreme resolutions and make changes that really stick. Some of my best friends use BetterHelp and love how helpful it can be for learning positive coping skills and how to set boundaries. It empowers you to be the best version of yourself, and it isn't just for those who've experienced major trauma. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Celebrate the progress you've already made. Visit BetterHelp.com/kindoffunny today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/kindoffunny.
And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. Believe it or not, Dragon Age Veilguard wasn't the only thing we saw at SGF. We saw 11 other games between us all. And Michael, Thank you, Kevin. The Kind of Funny Games Nation turns its lonely eyes to you and says, Mike, what is the game on the tip of your tongue whose embargo has lifted that you can talk about?
What embargo is now lifted that I can talk about? One that I'm really excited about is Battle Aces.
Oh,
the
my favorite.
Sweet RTS that Andy Cortez.
No. Try to take it back.
My favorite.
The developers, the VP of the company, everyone hounding Andy.
They all walked up to me. What's up with that channel? I was like, come on, you shouldn't do that.
Well, Uncapped Games, the developers of Battle Aces, allowed me to sit down and play the game. I am the RTS jabroni here at the company, and I'll tell you what, I had a really fun time with this one. Yeah, this is a cool RTS that I'm excited to share with all of you, and most importantly, the dudes at the table here, because it's a little bit different. It's a mix-up, mashup on the RTX flavor that you know and love. My favorite was the way they described it is, it's the NBA Jam of RTSs, meaning it is fast, it is a much shorter experience, and you're going to get in and out and be able to try new, different techniques every time you play, and I liked that, right? I think when you think of StarCraft or Warcraft 3 and these larger RTSs, you could go for a 20 to 40 minute long match. Here, every single match is 10 minutes no matter what.
Here are my two questions.
Lay it on me.
Because again, even though I was not nearly as insulting as Andy was, when they said RTS, I was like, cool, game over for Greg. I'm not going to play this. However, the more I looked into it, the more they all talked to me about Andy's reaction and stuff. One of the things they brought up was trying to Marvel Snapify RTS, right? They talked about that on stage. What does that mean? And then is it strictly a PC game? Like, is it a mobile game? Because I'd be somewhat interested if I maybe could get on my phone.
We'll see if they come to mobile. As of right now, just PC.
Okay.
There will be a closed beta in late June. It is also free to play, so something to keep an eye out for. But the Marvel Snapification comes to me when they described it as you can play this game with just 2 buttons. And it is very impressive. When you do think of RTSs, you really think of the macros that you set and all of the quick button presses to go back to base, to go back to your units, to hot swap different things that you're building, and then go back over to battle. This can really be played with about 2 buttons. It's really impressive of just tab and then the little
tilde
button to control your units. So tab will take you back to your base. You have one base. You don't have to worry about an armory, a blacksmith, anything like that. It's just one base. It will build everything for you, and then you tilde to go back to your units.
Is it tilde or tilde?
Them.
I've always said tilde.
I like.
I might be thinking of Tilda
cute.
Swinton, so maybe that's it. Maybe she's not named after a keyboard key. I don't know.
I was told tilde in like game development. That's always the dev command.
You thought it was tilde too?
Yeah, but I could be wrong.
Herbie has a great point for me over there. He says, Greg, Steam Deck game. Gotcha. Got
Boom,
me.
there you go,
That's a
Greg.
good one.
Oh,
That's a
it's
good one.
Spanish. Tilde.
Ooh.
Tilde.
And so the cool one is just how fast and easy it is to control. Instead of getting lost in menus and having to place different things, you can upgrade your base with just a simple click of a button and or your mouse click. You can move and pick up new bases to gain more resources as quick as easy. You don't have to go take over something. There's no NPCs on the battlefield like Warcraft 3 that are maybe defending a different mine that you'll take over. It is simply, hey, I'm at the base. I want to make a new base to get me more resources. You click that button, it automatically picks where that base is going to go for you. The units are already there. You don't have to worry about getting minions or any sort of economy. Worry about that from lumber to gold. You're just in it, right? And then on top of that, they have a cool card system going on, which is really you're unlocking cards throughout your gameplay that will get you new units to be able to try and battle with, right? And so you'll bring, let's say you have 8 cards, you'll bring 4 of those cards into the battle as your units, and you'll be able to use those units to hopefully counter or pick against your team or have that advantage, right? And so we started off small with these crab, kind of just generic units. Then I went to AA units. Then I went into flying air units. And then finally I unlocked the Kraken. And so it's this fun mix of, if you're like me, I like to rush people on RTS games where you build as many quick units as you can and put the fight forward as fast as possible without having to
I'm making
build
a choice.
slowly. I'm moving fast on that, right? Or you can, of course, you can tech out really quick, which will then put you at a disadvantage of, well, I spent all my money and resources on teching right now. I need to slowly build up and hopefully defend myself, which was really cool because I could tell you'll see your opponent and what they're really choosing to do. If Greg chooses to tech, I'm going to see him doing that, and I'm going to know what's going on and how much time I have to possibly make a push and get after him before he has that next tech unit that I won't have.
Interesting.
And like I said, it's just fast, it's fun, it's simple to learn, and I was impressed of how you take such a, I don't want to call it bloated system, because what I love about RTS is that you get so
minutia.
deep into it, but they did cut down on that and make it so simple of, hey, here's the 2 things you need to know. You're going to build, and you're going to take your units out and go attack. That's all you need to know. Go forward. They even have done a really cool system of making the precision attacking simpler for people who might not want to just go 1 unit by 1 unit. I think the cool part about RTS is you can really refine who you want to attack. This one now has it for beginners and people learning is, hey, you just click an area and your units will attack for you whatever they see. Don't worry about it. And you can turn that off and get a little more fine-grained if you want. But it is, I think someone wrote in there, baby's first RTS game. I think the NBA Jam is the perfect way of putting this. This is a fast,
like an
fun,
arcade kind of version,
arcadey RTS that you could put in front of someone. They could learn within 2 matches and be off and going without having to get over worried about everything going on. So I would check out Battle Aces. I had a lot of fun with this one, and I wanted to play more after leaving. I got to play 3 matches, and it wasn't enough because I wanted more.
I mean, the Steam Deck's a great solution. I hope they figure out a way to get it on mobile, because I think that, especially for 2 buttons, I feel like that could be really cool.
really
obviously,
cool.
if you can get deeper into it, then you'd want to have all the facilities and faculties.
I had to reiterate that, like, look, you could have showed I would have reacted the same way if it were a match 3 game or a mobile game on.
But it's just hilarious when you're like, it could be any game. I don't care. It could be anything.
Well, what was also hilarious was like when that presentation was starting, me being like, I'm so shocked that Mike loves RTS games.
Yeah.
You know, he gets bored with like, you know, a Left 4 Dead or Dead, you know, whatever sort of like multiplayer, you know, PvE shooter. But then this is like, you know, enthralling to him.
And so, closed beta late June, free to play. Keep an eye out on this one if you're interested in RTS games.
Andy, you mentioned it at the top of there when you were talking about Dragon Age, right? That when you were running up to people, you were piggybacking off of what I had said yesterday about Star Wars on the Gamescast, right? And what I said at Star Wars was, or what I said at the SGF, you know, nonsense conversations, what's your game of the show? I was like, well, the boring answer, the exciting answer. I was like, the boring answer is Star Wars Outlaws. I think that game looks incredible, yada, yada. I was like, the exciting answer for me is Fear the Spotlight. This is that Blumhouse game, right?
Ooh.
Of course, we had it at SGF. They got up on stage and like, hey, you know that Blumhouse is getting into games. Guess what? It's not just one. Here's this whole lineup we're doing, all this stuff we're doing. And
nice.
they said, Fear the Spotlight is going to be our first game in this. 2024, coming to everything, PC, Switch, PlayStation, Xbox.
Heard a lot about this from a lot of other people too.
The dev is Cozy Game Pals. They are a husband and wife team. It's just 2 of them making this game. They were there. They were so excited to tell me how great Blumhouse is being to them, let alone how crazy it is that this is happening to them. Because what happened is they worked obviously forever on the game. They actually published it. Fear the Spotlight was available. It was out. And then Blumhouse hit them up, obviously. There's a small indie game, a small indie thing. Basically, we're like, hey, what would you do with more money? And could we help out? And could we work it out? And they're like, sure. And so like they got the money to go make more. So they took the game down.
How exciting.
And so now it's here, and it's this really, really fun horror game. And what's great about talking to them about it, I think, is, again, you know, I was already so excited that Blumhouse was making horror games. The presentation I thought they did nailed it, where they had, what is Jason Blumhouse, Mr. Blumhouse, who was up there, and he was like, you know, we're getting these people here and we want them to make weird things, make your weird idea, make your weird horror game, right? And so talking to them after I played it, and I was like, I'm sold, this is great. It was the conversation that they wanted to make a horror game that their horror movie friends could come play. So it's not too easy, but it's not too difficult. It's not too scary, but it is spooky and scary. It was like they're walking an interesting line and having this whole 90s throwback graphic package. Like, I was really into it.
It's not requiring like precision shooting or anything like that.
Exactly, right? This is a game you can pick up and go for. And again, like, it's these 2 girls, right? What are they? Vivian, who walks in with her rebellious friend Amy, right? They sneak into the high school after hours. They go into the library where Vivian works, and their idea is that they want to bust out this Ouija board and use the Ouija board because the school had a fire where all these people died in the library, and they've now rebuilt the school. So you do the thing, and you see me dragging around well, not me, but you see the player dragging around the thing. It goes crazy. Lights are all out, you know what I mean? And all hell breaks loose kind of thing. But again, it's them playing with what it is and being spooky and changing things on the wall. Like there's a memorial to all the students on the wall, and when you walk over the first time, it's optional to interact with it. But of course, I did. I'm like, oh man, sucks they all died or whatever. And then the next time you come by, their faces are way more skull-like after the thing has happened. But to my shock and pleasure, I guess, when you're playing it, like, what is the gameplay going to be? Right? Is it just a walking sim? Is it just a whatever? They started leaning into like, oh wait, is this an adventure game? Like the door is locked. I need a key. This is that. And again, but to anyone can play it. I wasn't then beaten over the head of adventure game mechanics that I don't like. Like I loved when Telltale became Walking Dead Telltale and not Back to the Future Telltale, which was very much weird. So loved what I played of this. Ended too early. Can't wait for more. Excited that this is the first one out of the gate. Excited for where they're going with it.
Date?
Nope, 2024. But it's as they said on stage, this is the first one out. So we will be looking for more from them soon.
Yeah, that was definitely one I heard a lot about as well. I know Elise and James got to...
Yeah, they were talking about
it. Formerly of Funhouse got to check that out, and they were like,
unemployed.
Fantastic. Why do you do that?
Actually, she's doing something with PBS now. Looks pretty cool.
Oh.
She put that up on Instagram today.
Oh, good for them.
Guess I'm a closer friend than you are.
I didn't open Instagram. you're playing both sides.
Andy, outside of Dragon Age, what's the game you want to talk about? You have to talk about.
Ooh, okay.
Right, I got you. Got the good questions.
He's got some good ones.
Well, I mean, here, let me ask you. I can drop a lot of names here for you, okay?
Yeah.
Replaced.
I mean, yeah, with a bullet.
Phantom Blade Zero.
Oh, hell yeah.
Hyperlight Breaker.
Yeah. I think we're going to get to all of them.
Okay.
So for me personally, it's replaced.
I'm looking at the chat. What's this chat saying?
They say number one friend, Willem's friend, Greg Miller.
Oh, yeah.
Jesus Greg, lol. I mean, just the hilarious motherfucker. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Matt Rice says replaced was there, and now everybody's caught up. Replaced.
Yeah, it's
so this is one of those things. Yeah, like I think outside the casual conversation around SGF, everybody I would bump into be like, oh, this, that. Do you see Replaced is here? Replaced is right there. You can go play Replaced.
Yeah.
Andy, what is Replaced if you're an audio listener can't check it out right now?
Replaced. Developed by Sad Cat Studios Limited. Coming to Xbox One, Series X and S, PC, and there's no release date. Replaced is a 2D side-scrolling, like detective / action game. Very, very Blade Runner-esque. Near future, incredible visuals. Like it's all like very 2D pixel art, but they are doing the most with how lighting is affecting your character, and it's just like one of those art piece sort of games visually.
And it's one that's been so anticipated for so long.
Yeah, 1000%. This is one that I think after seeing that game that then Xbox dropped called The Last Night, this game always looked very similar visually to it and kind of like going for the same sort of vibe and tone. And it just astonished me visually. This game looks freaking fantastic. And I had the same sort of thing happen to me. I was walking. My first appointment wasn't until 10:30 a.m. So I'm walking around kind of like that little show floor area, and it's 10 a.m. and I'm walking around like, oh my, what the fuck? Replace is here, and nobody had appointments till 10:30. And so I was kind of looking around there. You know, the homie Jeff Rubenstein from Xbox was like, we can get you to sit down if you want. We can get you in. Let's get you in early before Paris Lily pops in at 10:30.
Stinks up the joint.
So the Replace demo had 3 little sections. 2022, the date.
It's been around a while.
Yeah, the Replace demo had 3 separate sections. It had prologue. It had something else in the middle that I don't remember what they called it, and then it had a combat demo.
Log.
And the other was what would you call it? Surlog or
that'd be after.
Oh,
so there's the
epilogue.
Yeah, no, that's
definitely what they're called. That's definitely what they're called.
I was more worried about what they call the log than I was the epilogue.
First thing I tried out was the combat demo, and it disappointed me.
Oh shit!
Yeah, it was fine. In practice, it was kind of basic feeling, I guess, based on the visuals are still enough to like really just have me smiling. But after playing a lot of really sick ass 2D games this year, especially I think Prince of Persia Lost Crown is sort of the first ones I think of. I thought that I immediately would like hit X to attack, and I tried hitting down and X to do like a low attack, and like that, there is no down or up attack. It's just X.
Got it.
And then you can charge one of the buttons to do a heavy, which will then break up some of the enemy's shields. If they're holding like a big shield, you can break that if you do a perfectly charged attack, and then you can parry, you can dodge. Whenever you nail your attacks, you are building up one shot for your gun. So every sort of what's the word I'm looking for? Like
Every
if you're
action
just
has a reaction.
I was gonna say like, yeah, this is a good one, a good quote. Einstein, right?
Not Greg.
Every subsequent attack is the word I was looking for.
Got it.
Every subsequent attack will then build up a gunshot that you can do, and it's usually a one-hit kill unless it's like a big brooding sort of enemy. But that does feel kind of neat. The animations are really neat, and they're a bit more varied than I expected them to be based on how basic I felt the combat was. Like you're going to get a couple of different cool little like execution animations when you are building up your ability to then like drop on the dude, shoot him in the head, look up, keep on doing your sort of melee attacks, dash behind the dude, hit him a bit. The big brooding guys will have a lot of armor that you're going to want to sort of charge and eventually break down, and then you can kind of take them out that way. But yeah, I did feel a little bit disappointed with how the combat felt. Everything else, though, did seem really promising and neat.
Was this a good counter pick for me on the Fantasy Critic? Because we have a ton of great games. I didn't know where to go. What do you, if you had to score this, what do you think is going to be in the 70s, 80s?
Well, I mean, I can say, like, in my opinion, I don't think this is coming out this year.
Even better.
I based on the feedback that I was hearing from the PR there, because none of the dev team were there, but the PR people were telling me they were really worried to show this because they felt like it's like too early and not ready to be shown to prime time.
Wow.
And so I feel like it might get delayed out of 2024. There is still no date on it yet, and it just didn't seem super promising that this was close, like in the next couple of months, sort of close. But the walking around bits, like the prologue sort of shows you exactly what's going on, and I'll read a little synopsis for you here. Replaced is a 2.5D sci-fi retro-futuristic action platformer where you play as Reach. Your dude named Reach who's got a ponytail, and it's just like, it's a really cool combination of two elements. An artificial intelligence trapped in a human body against its own will.
Whoa.
Okay.
Pretty sick.
Okay.
Pretty cool.
Okay.
Really awesome premise. Again, vibe and tone, immaculate. Off the charts. It looks great. It sounds cool. Whenever you are discovering little bits in the world when you're walking around, because the second section that I forgot the name that they called it was like, walk around the town, talk to NPCs, do little missions, deliver little MacGuffins to whatever character needs it for advancing their storyline or advancing the mission or whatever. Whenever you'd be walking around, you'd be talking to a lot of different NPCs. You'd see an item, you'd go pick it up. And then if you bring up that trailer one more time, Kevin, there was a glimpse of busting out your little, look like a Walkman sort of device.
It had a video screen on
really, really sick little device
cool.
that kind of like contextualizes and has that sort of in-game UI of you scrolling through little dialogue things you're picking up, little artifacts, music tracks as well. You can use that little thing to play music as well, and you'll find multiple different songs. And yeah, your thumb essentially scrolls through the data that you're reading, and it's just a really cool little device, and it feels good to use, and it looks really, really neat. Sort of having that diegetic UI. And the rest of it, the rest of the tone and dialogue, I'm just super stoked to kind of get into. And if the gameplay doesn't necessarily match up, I still think it could be a very good video game.
Okay.
And I'm in it for the story. I'm in it for these characters. I'm in it to see exactly what the hell's happening in this world. And visually, it's a stunner. Like, luckily, they were showing these games to us on OLED TVs. It looked phenomenal.
Gotta have the OLED.
Yeah.
I don't want to leave because you had so many. Talk to me about Phantom Blade Zero. Because this is another that was a stunner. I didn't see it at the thing, but when we saw it at PlayStation Showcase this past week for SGF, right? I was like, damn, this looks really good.
I awkwardly stared at it about 20 different times. I think the people looked at me weird because like every time I'd walk by, it got cooler and cooler. And I would be the guy behind the couch just kind of staring at it like, man, I wish I could play this game right now.
What you should have done was, because the developers from S Game were there showing off Phantom Blade Zero. Phantom Blade Zero is a Devil May Cry, sort of Sekiro, Souls-like style game. It's leaning more towards like that sort of stylish action with a lot of these cool abilities and moves you can do, but you still have to be, if one of the bosses they had me fighting against, the fight starts off, dude throws up like this device and it comes down and it chops my head off and I'm dead. So it's like you still have to really, really care about when you're dodging and when you're sort of parrying some of these attacks. Some of these attacks are not parryable. You will need to be dodging in those moments. You'll get the little notifier, right? But it just seems like a really cool kind of evolution to the genre of what we've been seeing, like with Liza P and with Stellar Blade, kind of let's make this a lot more stylish while still keeping those real like high risk, high reward moments. There's no release date at all, but I saw a really cool tweet from Shinobi on Twitter. And Shinobi had gotten this information from a couple different articles from Japan. They were translated over.
Sure.
And so development started in 2022. Core gameplay has been completed. So now the next step is to fill the game with content, and the release date is still a ways off.
Okay.
In early 2023, the team met with Sony, where Shuhei Yoshida and Christian Svensson were excited by what they saw. There was investment by Tencent and a lot of development and marketing support from PlayStation. Full development costs reach about $55 million, inspired by Bloodborne, Sifu, Metal Gear Rising, Revengeance. It's going to be about 20 to 30 hours long with multiple endings. Some interviews say that it can be about like 40 hours long as well. But yeah, the interesting thing is like this game started off as just a Tencent was hey, we'll fund it, we'll give you money to make this video game. And then Sony caught wind of it as well, and they kind of
We'll do it. like
gave more money as well, and they were able to make that trailer for the showcase or the state of play whenever it was that they first debuted it. It's one of those games where when we first saw, we were like, this doesn't look real. These animations look like they're kind of pre-canned, and how it didn't look like video game animation. It didn't look like this one attack is a singular animation. Let me go into the next animation, right? There's like the transitions of stuff just kind of looked too unbelievable, but it looked like that in real life. I will say, tech-wise, it's still got a ways to go in terms of like, visually, it looks really, really nice when you're standing still. Once you start getting the action going and the game wants to preserve that 60 frames per second mark, certain actions and the enemies will start to look super blurry because it's like trying to, let's drop this resolution down so that we can keep up that frame rate. But I was pretty blown away by the action in this game, and everybody I talked to as well before I got to play it was like, dude, Stellar Blade, Phantom Blade Zero, you got to go play it. And I was able to play all of the bosses and had a really damn good time with it. It is so over the top with its action, while still like maintaining that high risk, high reward feel of a lot of Souls games.
Every time I walked by, there would be a boss fight going on, and it looked like he would pull out a shield and charge it up, and like a dragon's mouth would shoot a ball of energy out, we'll call it. But like, what was that?
Yeah, those are, so you can equip different weapons, because the first couple of bosses they had me using like the standard katana, and then I moved on to the next one because the demo was just like kind of a boss rush. You're fighting 3 different bosses. The final boss, they were like, here's your large katana. It was like a larger kind of great sword almost. It's going to swing a little bit slower. It's going to hit a little bit harder. But you will also have your extra abilities, which are, I'll use the Elden Ring comparison, like your weapon arts, which is actually what they were called in Dark Souls 3. But like, sure, you could slash and hack and slash away, but you can hold left trigger and do this thing. You can use this one cannon that is kind of like, it'll charge 3 different times. You could shoot it immediately for a little bit of damage, or if you want to hold it there for all of the charges. So it kind of reminds me of like when you are building your drift in Mario Kart, like the colors change, right? Like the sound gets more and more intense as you fully charge. Boom, lets out this giant explosion, hits the dude for a lot of damage. It'll knock him down, stagger him. So all the different demos had a different version of what that thing was. The first couple bosses, it was a bow and arrow. And it had a sort of similar effect where it has 3 different charges for a bigger, more impactful hit. I was just really impressed by the animations, by, being able to perfect parry and chain combos into the next thing. Like,
and
when
it
you're
felt natural based on your skill set from Souls games.
Felt fucking fantastic. And when you're doing the demo, or when you're doing those like intro tutorial sections, it's very much like, here's how you can attack with square and triangle, but square will do something, square triangle will do something, square triangle square will do something else. And they really want to get you into like chaining combos, as opposed to like going for a hit, kind of wait back for the enemy to hit. Like they want you in there, getting aggressive, seeing how sick these animations look, and they look freaking sick, dude. Like again, based on what we saw in those previews, like there's no way like it actually looks like this, and it does, and it's super awesome. And I really hope that they can get it to a point where the tech can match what the action is trying to do. Because at that point, I feel like it might be like the perfect action game.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Well, good impression.
It's really, really sick.
Michael.
Yep.
What else did you see?
I saw another one that I think you, me, and Andy here at this table could have a lot of fun with if we teamed up on it. And that's Once Human from Starry Studio.
You've been talking this one up since you saw it to me.
I saw
because
Shroud
it's like,
streaming this.
Yes, it's currently available right now for a demo thanks to Steam Next Fest. So I do encourage you, if you are on PC, which is where it will be coming out, to go check this one out right now. So to give you the big pitch, this is an MMO, so it's going to have a large world with a lot of people in it, but it gives off Destiny and Division vibes. You are a soldier in this really weird, like, futuristic, kind of freaky deaky world, and you and your friends are going to go along and you're going to go out there and slay giant boss monsters. You're going to just go out and free out encampments if you'd like and get more stuff. But it's got this blend of survival crafting, which me and Andy are very familiar with a lot of survival games we've been playing. So you'll be able to build a base. You'll grab different things from outposts, be able to bring them back to the base.
The Division.
Oh, that's the catch. And so on the combat side, Greg, why I think you'll really like this is it feels and plays just like the Division. So you and 4 friends are going to go to these different encampments. You're going to clear out a bunch of freaky zombies and really off-the-wall creatures that are like straight out of a PT World type vibe that you're seeing
Not this
right
jellyfish
now.
bride.
There's this fun, crazy monster that's a giant, like, bus, but with spider legs that walks around the maps, and you can actually like jump up in the back of it and ride it different areas, and it just kind of roams.
That sounds awesome.
You can't kill that one. He was like, no, that's the purpose, is to have fun. But
That's like your fast travel almost?
no, yeah, it's very slow. He's very slow moving. You can just jump in the back. You have a motorcycle for more of a faster travel type vibe. But yeah, I really liked this. It caught me off guard. As I didn't think I would enjoy this, but when I had the big boss fight where it was, hey, this boss climbed out of this like outdoor movie theater screen, and it was me versus them, and it was clearly still in the open world, so anybody could have joined and assisted me if they wanted to, but it had everything that you would have seen, right?
Looks like Remnant also.
Phase 1, yeah, he's doing X, Y, and Z, and then when I got him to half bar, phase 2, he started to do different things. He was calling in NPCs that I'd have to go out there and like destroy their spawn point and then get back to him. I even shot off one of his weapons, and I was able to grab his Gatling gun and shoot back at him. And so I really liked the vibe of the Division combat meeting this MMO. The guy promoted like 2,000 people in your world. So assume it's going to be a giant server that you're going to be playing on. But I found it interesting of blending that many people plus me and Andy crafting a base, right? And on top of the base, you can, I mean, it's over the top base building type stuff like we saw in Pal World and all these other survival games. But you'll also like get creatures that will help you. They'll go mine stuff for you, or another guy was going out and getting lumber for me. So you'll get these little creatures that will help you back at the house. But I really liked the combat, and I think that's the big one for me is I want to tell you, if you like the Division, if you like Destiny right now, you should check this out with your friends. Right around the corner, too. July 9th, it comes out.
That's very cool.
Yeah, you can play the demo now, but then you can go play it and have some fun, which is cool.
That looks really sick.
I liked that.
Yeah, I think I remember seeing that on like whatever that Xbox or SGF it was, and I've been hankering for that Division vibe again, and I don't want to go back to Division 2.
You don't want to go back to year 6 of the Division?
No, yeah, like I want something new. And I love a shared world shooter. I love a PC. Let me use my keyboard mouse and just try to impress Greg.
Miss Freeze was coming to Suicide Squad, Andy, and there's like 19 brainiacs we still got to fight.
Miss Freeze.
My computer blew up.
Oh,
I'm
no!
sorry. Yeah, last night.
Oh, no!
I lost the
Last
save.
night it exploded.
Well, Andy, I hope you can get it fixed by July 25th, because that's when Arranger is coming to PS5, Switch, PC, Mac, and Netflix. Full disclosure before I compliment this game, this is a Pop Agenda represented game. I booked Blessing the appointment for this one because he is Puzzle Poppy.
Ooh.
And then I watched the trailer and I was like, I want to play this myself, and even though I'm not the puzzle
This
game
is
guy.
so cute.
I
So
saw
if-
Greg playing
if
this.
you-
The makers of Carto?
Yeah.
Oh.
So they had a whole thing up there of like it's a really talented dev team. Of course, the developer here is in fact called Furniture and Mattress. This is not a traditional Greg game. I'm not a puzzle person. The way this works, if you're not watching, is that you have a little character on a map that instead of moving the character, you're really moving the map.
Wow.
So you're shifting it left and right, up and down, depending on where you are. But of course, there's obstacles and there's tools to pick up, in quotes, but you never pick anything up. You just do the puzzle to push the item into the thing it needs to, or go off the side to do it.
This is so inventive.
It is very much one I think that I am not equipped to describe in words. You need to actually look it and watch it and understand it.
They spelled woe incorrectly, though. So
Oh, I'm so sorry about that, Andy. That's a big one. That's a
Gaming
big
is
blow
dead.
for them. It's, again, not my kind of game. And I sat down kind of terrified that this was going to be a game that I just could not wrap my head around. And I definitely had that first 5 minutes of like, oh, fuck, I can't even get to the next screen of it. And I need to compliment the devs were sitting around, obviously, because of the demo, right?
great logo.
Great job by them not helping me. They saw me struggling, and I mean struggling with the basics, but it was like, as I was struggling, I started figuring out the rules of the world, right? Which I was like, oh, and it was like those light bulb moments, those endorphin hits of how to do it and what it wanted me to do, and starting me with the easy ones of like, there's a line of rocks, so how do you get around the rocks? Oh, I discovered that I can go off the sides. If I go off the side to the right, I'm going to pop up over on the left, right? Kind of like a typewriter going back and forth.
Yeah.
You obviously just watched it, you see it. If you are an audio listener, it's on a grid, right? And you're moving the grids around that way.
It's hard to explain to audio listeners because when I was explained it without seeing it, I couldn't grasp what it was,
Yeah.
and I just kind of nodded along. Was like, "Oh, that's neat."
I think,
this looks so much cooler than
again, for you're moving the world and not moving the character is a good way to do it. But then also, if you ever went to a birthday party when you were 5 to 7 and you got the little goodie bag and you'd get one of those little plastic puzzles that had like the clown's face or Bugs Bunny, and then you'd move all the squares around and have to put them back together.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's never as direct as just move the thing right to put it to a right. Instead, you have to like put it into a circle and move it around
like a 2D
counterclockwise.
Rubik's
Whatever it is.
cube, but without the color matching.
Gorgeous art style, as you can see here. Really cute cartoon world. Funny dialogue. There's a whole bunch of stuff in there written into it. They're actually trying to pull at your heartstrings with the story, and
Art
I'm
looks
interested in what's going on in it. You are this character. You are leaving your town for the first time when nobody ever leaves. I'm very much into a ranger. I should not be on paper, right? Because it's just not my kind of thing. I know I'm very worried about eventually getting to a part of the game that is so tough. I felt very smart when I talked to Patrick Klepek later at a Netflix party, and we talked about it, and he's like, oh man, yeah, how did you do? And he's like, did you get past the stone foot? And I was like, oh, I got way past it. He's like, oh, that's right, I got stuck. I'm like, yes, all right, fine. I beat Scoops at something. Looking forward to that one, July 25th on everything, like I said, except Xbox, I guess. Super stoked, and we have to wait long for that one. Before I send it back out to you guys, I want to close off with my final game that's no longer under embargo, right? And I want to talk about Unknown 9. Unknown 9.
Yeah, this one's gonna be cool. This was the Banisher's one where she was taking the spirits out of people.
You remember this one?
You'll
It's got
see
the
it.
woman from The Witcher in it.
Boom.
That's
Oh, yes,
big
that's the
thing,
one that I
right?
call. I was like,
the dev
oh.
is Reflector. Of course, yeah, you're playing as Haruna, portrayed by the renowned British actor Anya Shaw.
So it was her. We
Shalatra.
nailed it.
Yeah, we did. We nailed
That's
it.
sick.
We had seen this trailer. We had seen it and not really understood necessarily what it is. After watching it, it's multiple things. And that's, I think, of course, very interesting. And then, of course, a lot.
Just like
And
Banishers.
I feel like, the Banishers, yes, is an apt comparison in terms of being the ghost and moving the stuff and yada, yada, yada. It's more the fact that I get the vibes, not necessarily for gameplay, but in terms of everything they're doing of Immortals of Avium with Ascendant Studios and Forspoken, where it's like, hey, here's this big fantasy world you're in, right? That's also mashed up. And then we are just going to layer on top of it so much stuff. And Kevin, if you want to dial it back or just start the dialogue, they're talking about the 9 gods and they were in power and then now they're not in power, but there's some humans that believe in the gods and they're coming back in a millennium to do this, but then there's this guy who thinks that we should not do that, and it's like you're warring factions and you're this and you're that, and it's like I
Why are you
was
so interested in Vincent, anyhow?
He killed someone I loved.
they're throwing away it kills me off. it's like there's so much information in the story trailer, and then sitting down to get the demo. Kevin, if you want to click off right and click to the website, I said there's lots of this, and I put it's multiple things. If you can click on that hyperlink for me, scroll down. Not only is Unknown 9 Awakening the game, scroll one more down, it's a story world. So there's a game, there's a comic, there's a podcast, there's a novel trilogy, and there's more.
It's a universe.
Oh, wow.
So this is very much getting kicked into the deep end of like, what's going on? You know what I mean?
That's even more like scary.
So to remove all of that, and Kev, you can go back to just the gameplay stuff of it and watching it. Okay, I get there's a huge world and they're doing this giant world thing, and that's cool, and I like that. The gameplay itself, I think this trailer, again, back to the Ascendant deal, back to the Forspoken thing. It's a AA game, which is awesome. We need more AA games. We need more people doing cool ideas and new IPs and yada yada yada. I think some of the vistas they're using and you being in the world, very gorgeous, very beautiful. But then you get to combat and it is a bit like, okay, it's, third person, we're running around. I'm using the spirit thing to attack people. There's rifts in the world. I'm getting this all wrong, I'm sure, in the actual terminology of the game because there was so much jargon and I did not get a glossary. But you're getting, you're using the other dimension that's on top of ours to do the shift, to do the thing, but you're also shooting like light, like energy. There's a lot going on, and I felt like I was not swimming in lore for sure, and then not wowed by the gameplay to a point that I'm like, yeah, obviously there's skill trees and invest in this way, and like I think they said there's 3 different skill tree branches in a playthrough. You'd only be able to maybe max out 2 because they want you to feel different and have a different. There's a lot in there. It's definitely one I want to get on sticks for. I want to actually have in my hands and play because I love a diverse world, but I think getting thrown into
was that the one you were on keyboard mouse for?
No,
that may have been. It may be.
That was a horror game. That was a horror game. Yeah, and that I don't know if it's actually embargoed.
It's a great photo of you with the keyboard mouse.
Is it live somewhere?
Mike took it up.
Really?
We're gonna bust it out.
No,
You're most vulnerable.
Oh no,
it's so wild you describing this because it sounds identical to Banishers. And I'm not talking about the concept or the premise of the story. I'm just talking about a AA game that has some interesting stories there, and then you get into the gameplay, and like me, a Souls game lover, like I dropped the difficulty on that game to easy because like I wasn't having enough fun with it, and I didn't want to struggle through it. Yeah. To then not let me get back to the meat of the game, which was like what I played of Banishers was like, man, these stories and this acting is so fucking good. Yeah. But I just don't care about this combat, and there's a lot of it.
Yeah, and that's again back to I need to be on controller. This is a hands-off demo. That's the easiest way to put it, right? Where it's like I'm watching and I don't know if it looks fun necessarily. I don't think it looks bad by any stretch of imagination, but it was like, okay, is the story going to grab me? Are they going to give me enough? Like in the trailer there and in the presentation, right? I think the most interesting thread is why you're after this guy. He killed somebody I loved. Okay, I can start there. When it is that there were 9 gods that left and a millennium later they're going to give you, but this guy says we need it now, and she's dressed like she's from ancient times and he's dressed like he just stepped out of a speakeasy. I'm like, I don't understand what the fuck's happening. I don't know. It's one to watch, of course, coming this fall, PlayStation, Xbox, PC, developer Reflector. I'm interested to see what it is, but it's not. It's like, I think out of all the games I've seen that my embargoes have lifted for, that's the one where I'm like, I don't know. I hope, but I don't know.
Gotcha.
Andy, back to you. What do you got?
I played a Hyperlight Breaker or Harmonium or Enotria, the last song. Hyperlight Breaker, come on, sick as shit, so cool. This was updated from the GDC demo we had, where the GDC demo was a pre-made world that you were walking into and not showing off the procedural sort of idea that you go out there and it's this like extraction roguelite that you're leveling up your character, and if you die 5 times trying to take on these bosses, then you sort of reset. The world will procedurally change into a different one and give you a different layout, a different sort of map layout where the bosses are located in different places or whatever. This time I enjoyed the combat much more, and the lock-on issues that I had in the prior gameplay session that I had did not bother me this time around. However, I really want to play on my Xbox Elite controller with my back paddles and remapping these controls, because I did so bad at so many of these games, because I think back to back I played Phantom Blade Zero, Hyper Light Breaker, and Enotria: The Last Song. All three very like kind of action-oriented Souls-likes with 3 different dash buttons, with 3 different parry buttons, with 3 different attack buttons where like some of them were on the face and some of them were on the trigger and the bumper buttons. I was just like doing so terrible because I was hitting every wrong button possible.
Happens.
But it felt so awesome to be in there to see kind of what the loop is going to be. As soon as you go into the world, you are kind of shown everything the map has in store for you. Where the bosses are, you want to take out the elites to then unlock the ability to fight a boss. If you beat that boss, that is like 1 boss key. And in order to take on the major boss, it requires, I believe, like 3 boss keys. Like the major dude, right?
Yeah,
and you can only beat him unless you beat 3 of the bosses in that world, right? And the elites kind of gain you access to go in there, so you're getting more and more tough enemies. All of the different weapons, I kind of wanted to... I was a bit more selfish this time because I was like, I'm not going to try to explore and use everything in the kitchen sink. I just want to beat these bosses. Like, I want to like try to like get good, right? But there's like a lot of variety of weapons that I was kind of surprised by when it comes to like, you know, the dual dagger sort of setup. One of the like the larger sort of great swords was not all that was offered on the heavier sort of side of weapons. You had like a standard sword. You had more kind of like a sort of like a fencing type weapon, and none of those I really messed around with. But I just love the idea that if you do go and try to go take on a boss and you die, it's not over for you. Your run is still technically going.
Okay.
You have 5 tries to try to like succeed, right? And so you can take some of your abilities that you enjoyed and you can like store them and bank them to like keep them for the next run. I don't want to, it's kind of hard to go with like run and like, because a full run isn't until you've died 5 times. So if you die, you still have like your stuff from the last thing, and you won't permanently lose those until you die 5 times. And that's when the world resets itself. But every time you're going out, you are gaining these little like point chips to then permanently increase your shit at certain little vendors. And there's a bunch of different vendors that sell different weapons. There's vendors that sell different guns. There's vendors that sell different items, whether it be a cool grenade that has a much larger, like a legendary purple grenade that has a much larger AoE attack, or this one that adds rot damage or bleed damage or fire damage and stuff like that. I didn't want to put it down, man. I wanted to keep going with it. I'm so sad that there's not a full date on it. It is late summer is what they're calling it. I can't freaking wait. I know it's one that like they say you can play multiplayer, but like I just want to play single player, and based on the demos, it seems like completely viable for that. This doesn't seem like one that, hey, you could play it alone if you want, but it doesn't really have the same sort of vibe. No, this just feels like a single player 3D version of Hyper Light Drifter, and I'm so excited about it.
Fuck yeah.
It looks so sick. It sounds great. Oh, I can't wait.
Michael, take me home with your final game.
Yeah,
well, not take me home, because I mean, we've got 2 more, but and we have many more embargoes to lift. Yeah,
I got a lot more, but I do want to put one on that I think a lot of people will like, and I think probably should be talked about, is Akimbot. Akimbot is a really cool action-adventure platformer that gave me vibes of Ratchet and Clank, Jack and Dexter, that could be put in front of family and friends and be like, yo, this is a good game for all ages that people will enjoy. But also gave me, what was that robot game that you and I played that was a roguelite that you really loved? That was challenging.
RoboQuest?
RoboQuest.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
of course, he's going to have different weapons like that. This is Exy.
Dude, this looks really sick.
Ship set, and these two, the unlikely pair together, one is the comedic relief, one is the very serious robot, are a fun little duo, and I really enjoyed this. It gave me, the guy looks like he's right out of Bionicles, and I think that was one for me. It gave me family mascot platformer vibes here,
okay.
but also some challenging hack and slash and a little bit of shooting in the gameplay trailer that I got. The positive that I can tell you right now, there's a demo out for Steam Next Fest. The game comes out August 29th. It's coming to PC, PS5, and Xbox Series X and S. And what I really liked was the dynamic between these two. They're unlikely friends that come together. Of course, the beginning is us breaking out of a prison van that is taking us somewhere, and the two, have to work together. And it's just fun. It made me smile the whole time I played. And I really loved this. This hacking system had some different game modes. So when I failed the one hack, which was the puzzle, I thought, I'll just get a second try at it. No, it switched the mini game to Snake. And I looked at the girl, I go, that was really cool. And she was like, yeah, it does that every time. If you ever fail, it will switch the mini game for the hack, and you'll try something different. So I thought that was really cool and fun of like keeping it fresh every time I did that. But
yeah, as we were walking by, you were like, dude, you should check this thing out. It was one of those angles I couldn't get a glimpse of what the screen was, but this is really exciting.
This is one of those I think Barrett and Andy will talk about later on. But yeah, it's that collect-a-thon 3D platformer. Definitely family-friendly, fun, jokey vibe to it. He's got cool abilities. I played very early, so I didn't get to see more of what he'll unlock, but the double jump, the hover, stuff like that, you'll see. This is one to put on your radar for kids, all ages. I think that's the big one for me, is wanting to have somebody to say, hey, check this out with your kids as well.
Looks a lot of fun.
Andy,
hey,
we've gone through 10 games. We need 2 more to hit the dozen. Give them to me your synopsises here of Enotria? Oh, no, it was way off the last song.
Enotria, the last song. It's an Italian Souls-like, and this is one that I had a lot of people in my DMs recommending to me because there's a demo out right now. And then at the end of the most recent Elden Ring DLC video that Vati Vidya put up, he was sponsored to talk about this, and he was like,
"Gotcha."
The sponsorships that I do, it's always like I get a lot of offers for like to do game stuff that I never really do, but like this one actually feels really cool and it looks good, and I enjoyed what I played. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna give it a shot, and I played the demo. And I thought it was like a bit rough around the edges. It feels like a very small team. It's running on Unreal Engine 5. It's developed by Jayama Games, Jyamma. And I played the demo and I was like, ooh, there's some animations that look a little rough here. Seems a bit rough around the edges, but the core feel of it still felt like very Dark Souls 1 to me, which is like very much a good thing. But with really neat evolutions to what the movement is and how the style of gameplay is. The description is set in a fantasy world inspired by Italian folklore and culture, where players control their only entity, not bound by their own fate, in an eternal play that keeps the world in stasis. Whatever that means. What I'm going to tell you is you're kind of like a puppet dude almost who like doesn't have a face, like a mannequin almost, wooden marionette looking dude. And whenever you kill enemies, you take their mask and their outfit, and the gameplay reflection of that is you have 3 loadouts, which is awesome because Souls-likes don't have loadouts. You usually like, I guess I'll experiment with this weapon a bit. Let me try this one out. But this one, on the fly, you can switch to your 3 different loadouts. So if you have if you have a mask that has a lot of perks for fire damage, maybe you pair it with that one sword that does fire damage as well. And maybe it's a heavy attack because that one piece of armor also does better for like stunning enemies or whatever. And you could switch them on the fly to like, this dude is more of my light character build where I'm really good at dashing and dodging. And this one might be my parry build. And so let me make sure that I am leveled up in this sense to where it's benefiting me to parry. All those systems are super, super fascinating. If you remember some of the cool moments from Lords of the Fallen gameplay where you reveal like hidden parts of the world with like certain abilities. Like suddenly it's like, oh, there's like a platform up here that appears when you touch this thing. You can go explore that way. There's like some cool little like gameplay exploration moments like that. But I got to play the demo. I was the second person all day to beat all 3 bosses.
Come on.
Yeah,
that's what we're talking
about. And the whole time I'm like, Mike, I'm playing on an Xbox Elite controller. But there's no back paddles.
No back paddles. I was like, it's the future.
I just need a paddle. GDC, we need back paddles at all these events.
Mm-hmm. Why don't you guys just be pro gamers and bring your own?
I'm not trying to
claw. You could bring your own.
I'm not trying to claw control, you know what I mean? Where I'm like holding it like a madman. where it looks like I just got a concussion. I'm a football player on the ground. My hands all weird and shit. Like,
What a specific reference.
well, I did that. That's
No,
just
I
kinda
know,
where
I
I'm
know.
at.
The arms are stiff.
Yeah.
no.
And so like it was tough for me because again, this was after playing other Souls likes with different control schemes. And I just could not get used to running or taking my thumb off the right stick to run and then going back to the right stick to control the camera. But like it was fun. It still feels a little janky in moments for sure. Camera and some of the enemy animations are kind of weird in some spots, but it felt really good kind of getting that build and understanding that, you know, I need to be dodging here instead of parrying because that is a very, very sort of Lies of P style parry system or even Stellar Blade. Not quite to the level of Sekiro, I would say, but it reminded me a lot of Lies of P parry system. And there was one extra thing I was going to bring up. Oh, the dashing and dodging style is pretty much identical to Bloodborne, where when you are not locked on, you are dodge rolling.
Oh.
And when you are locked on, you are doing your dash. Like you're kind of like, you know, going back and forth. You're never rolling when you're locked onto an enemy. So I thought that was fascinating. There's really cool items that I was, you know, super, you know, encouraged to use in battle because you'd pop one item and it's a thing that you drink that whenever you hit somebody, you get some health back. And that was super useful towards some of these boss fights. It's like, ooh, I'm running low on heals, but I can pop this thing and hopefully get some heals
cool.
back.
I like that.
If I'm making the right attacks.
So
It's really, really deep. Like, it is so much deeper than I expected it to be with all of the different, like, status effects of, like, this. They're using, like, all the Italian folklore versions and just Italian language things of what could we say an enemy's getting dazed by? Well, they get dazed by this thing and they get kind of, like drunk in a sense, where you do a lot more damage. If an enemy hits me with that ability and I get that status effect, I do more damage, but I take more damage because I have this. But I could take the swing of this little potion and it'll take away that status effect. There's a lot of things like that in the game as well that make the gameplay and experience even more deeper. I enjoyed it. I had a great time with it.
Did you like this or Phantom Blade more?
I liked Phantom Blade more because of its like, because of the visuals, because of the sort of like, I think going the extra bar on the wild animations. But this is still one that, if you're super into Souls games and want like a Souls game that isn't complete shit, I think this is one to. I think this is definitely one to try. Try out the demo; it's available now.
Okay.
I had a good time with the combat. I'm excited to redo it with like my controller and my setup, and you know, I'd feel a lot more comfortable in those moments. But I had a great time.
And then your final one.
Harmonium.
Tell me about this.
Harmonium is a Netflix game published by Netflix. It is developed by The Odd Gentleman. And Harmonium is one that we saw, I believe, at a PlayStation showcase, or maybe it was.
That's tracks, I think, right?
And it's one where, let me read the description. It's a interactive sign language musical and adventure narrative game that follows Melody Mercado, an energetic 10-year-old Filipina-American musician who became deaf at a young age. For her upcoming debut show, she wants to create a new type of music that can be felt, seen, and accessible to her friends. Her dad's a musician, but she gets kind of pulled into this Alice in Wonderland style world. And I was playing it on an iPad, but it's going to be available on consoles as well. And immediately you're in this Alice in Wonderland musical kind of like magical world. And I start running down. It's very, very cute, very funny. Animations are adorable. But in this world, I start running down a walkway that's like piano keys that are like the stones.
Yeah.
And the music starts playing, and then it starts swelling. And then I took my glasses off. I was like, "Sir, you have me tearing up at 11:20 in the morning." It was immediately kind of made emotional. The really cool thing about The Odd Gentleman as a studio is, all of the staff that are there's so much like deaf staff on board that are developing. You know, when they first kind of had this idea. One of the leads who is deaf was like, yeah, Netflix, we can make this with you all, but I want to hire a lot of like deaf workers to like animators and everything like that.
Incredible.
One of the even more wild things is they have interpreters there working to help out the people who don't do American Sign Language. They also have Danish deaf employees. So they have translators
Yeah,
for Danish and American Sign Language to help with that. And it's so insane. Like, this machine that they have going on there sounds wild. But this game was one that I'm like, you see Greg puts you on the calendar, and it's like, we'll see how I go with this. These aren't usually my type of games.
You fake a knee injury so you don't have to go.
Yeah. It was awesome. It was really, really cool. Like, it's not one that I'll like run out to go play.
Yeah.
But it's one that I think anybody who's enjoys an emotional, heartfelt story.
That's me.
Like, dude, it's really, really neat. And you're in this, like, again, magical world where how do you portray what American Sign Language, how do you try to teach a basic form of sign language to a gamer who doesn't know?
Sure.
And you are trying to have Melody learn these certain things from a little character in the world who's, I'm blanking on his name, but he's like kind of like the conductor guy. He's a little guy that was flying around in the trailer. And it's all sort of puzzle based. So you'll be on one side of the wall and you'll be like, hey, I need to make this statue look this certain way. What sort of piece should I do? And he'll look at you and he'll be like, it's like, and he'll do the shape of a triangle. And you'll be like, oh, let me look for the triangle thing or whatever. And you go back to, so it starts off with basic things like that, but then it'll get into describing, what a guitar is, describing what a trombone is, and kind of going back and forth with those translations. I thought it was adorable.
That sounds awesome.
I was smiling the whole time. It was adorable, super sweet, and I wish them all the success in the world because it's.
Any date on it?
I have sometime in 2024.
Okay.
Is their date on it?
Okay. That one sounds incredible.
Very cute.
All right. I think both of you were very cute today.
Oh, thanks, Greg.
Come on.
Ladies and
Great
gentlemen, that
afternoon.
is dose 1 of our, I guess actually 2 or 3 probably, of our Summer Game Fest previews. Of course, we have so many other games we've seen, so many other embargoes. If you looked ahead at this week, tomorrow's Gamescast is embargoed, and the Gamescast after that is embargoed as well. So you can imagine there's more games to talk about, and there will be throughout many, many weeks, it turns out, because there's some that are really far out that I was surprised that we got to see that early, but whatever. Of course, if you like what we do here, remember this is the Kind of Funny Gamescast each and every week. 4, sometimes 3 best friends gather on this table, coming to talk about reviews, previews, and the biggest topics in video games. We do it daily and live on Twitch, YouTube, and podcast services around the globe. If you love what we do, support us with that Kind of Funny membership. $10 gets you every show ad-free. It gets you good karma. It gets you the ability to watch our afternoon podcast live as we record them. And of course, you get the daily multimedia exclusive known as Greg Way. Of course, we are all about live talk shows. It isn't stopping anytime soon. If you're watching live on Twitch, you don't have to go anywhere. We're getting ready to stream Alan Wake 2's DLC, Night Springs. I can't wait because our friends at NVIDIA sponsored us. If you're on YouTube, there's going to be another link you have to go click on. And then, of course, if you're listening or watching later, you can come to youtube.com/kindoffunnygames, drop us a subscription, and, of course, catch it on demand. For now, though, that's our show. Until next time, it's been our pleasure to serve you. Hit the smoke, Kevin!